I'm Sarah, about to hit the big 20. At the moment, I'm buried in my finals at college, studying finance. It's a challenging field, but numbers have always come naturally to me. Sitting here in my dorm, surrounded by textbooks and empty coffee cups, my thoughts drift to my birthday, which is coming up. My family's planning to mark the occasion once my exams are behind me. But family gatherings have always been a mixed bag for me. Growing up, I felt like the odd one out. My older sister, Emma, now 25, was the one always showered with attention. I was just there. I remember when I was 8, it was Emma's 13th birthday and my parents went all out with a huge party. There was a bouncy castle, a magician, and a cake that could have fed an army. I was so excited, thinking my birthday would be just as special. But when mine came around months later, all I got was a tiny cake from the store and a pair of socks. I tried to hold back the tears, but they came anyway. My mom just gave me a quick pat on the head and said, "Don't make a big deal out of it, Sarah. It's just a birthday." That's when it hit me. I was never quite as important as Emma. As I got older, that feeling only grew stronger. Emma always had the latest phone while I got her old ones. She wore designer clothes. I wore hand-me-downs. When she graduated, they bought her a car. When I graduated, I got a gift card to a bookstore. But my grandma, she's different. She's always treated me like I mattered. When I told her I wanted to study finance, she was over the moon. "You've got a bright future ahead, Sarah," she told me. "I know you'll go far." And now, Grandma's insisted on throwing me a birthday party. She even gave my parents a few thousand to make it happen. I was stunned when I found out. Normally, my parents brush off my birthdays, but they didn't argue with Grandma. They just took the money and told me to focus on my exams. I overheard Emma throwing a fit about it. "Why does Sarah get a big party?" she complained. "I could use that money for a trip I've been wanting to go on." Grandma shut her down fast. "Quiet down, Emma. Everyone spoils you enough already. Didn't I just give you 10 grand for rent and you're still living at home?" Emma didn't have much to say after that. I couldn't help but feel a little satisfaction. Now, here I am, cramming for my final exam. Tomorrow's the day, and then I'll be free. Free to celebrate my birthday. Free to finally feel like I matter. The next day, I walked out of my last exam, the weight lifting off my shoulders. My classmates were talking about their summer plans, but I could barely think about anything but my birthday celebration. As I made my way back to my dorm, my phone buzzed with messages. My college friends were sending early birthday wishes, knowing I'd be heading home soon. It was nice to be remembered, even if it was by people I hadn't known for long. "Happy almost birthday." Jess, my roommate, called out as I entered the room. "Ready for the big family party." I forced a smile. "Yeah, should be interesting." Jess raised an eyebrow. "You don't sound too excited." "Everything okay?" I sighed and collapsed onto my bed. "It's just my family. They're not exactly the warm, loving type, you know, especially when it comes to me." "But your grandma's organizing everything, right? That has to count for something," Jess pointed out. "True," I said. "Grandma's always been different. She actually seems to like me." As I packed my bag for the trip home, an uneasy feeling gnawed at me. It was a strange mix of hope and anxiety. Hope that my birthday would finally be special and dread that somehow it would all fall apart. The bus ride home seemed to drag on. My mind kept returning to what awaited me. Would the house be decorated? Would there be a cake? Would my parents actually seem happy to see me? When I arrived, I took a deep breath as I walked up the driveway. The house looked the same as always. No balloons, no streamers, nothing that screamed celebration. Maybe they were just keeping it low-key, I thought, trying to stay optimistic. I opened the front door and called out, "Mom, Dad, I'm home." The house was eerily quiet, too quiet for a place that should have been preparing for a party. I frowned, dropped my backpack by the door, and walked toward the living room. My parents were sitting on the couch, looking unusually uncomfortable. There were no signs of party preparations. "Oh, hi," I said, a sense of confusion creeping into my voice. "Where's the birthday stuff?" My parents exchanged a glance, and my heart sank. "Well, Sarah," my dad began, his tone strangely distant, "we decided not to throw your birthday party." I blinked, certain I'd misunderstood. "What? But Grandma gave you money for it." We gave it to Emma for her trip," my mom interrupted. "She and her boyfriend left for Hawaii a few days ago." The words hit me like a punch. I could feel the tears welling up. You gave it to Emma, but it was for my birthday. Grandma gave it to you for my birthday. My dad shrugged, avoiding my gaze. Emma needed a break. You understand, right? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Understand? No, I don't understand. It was supposed to be my birthday. I invited people. What am I supposed to tell them? We'd already handled it, my mom said dismissively. We told everyone you were having trouble with college and that the party was canceled. I stood there, shock turning into anger. You lied about me? How could you do this? My dad's expression hardened. That's enough, Sarah. You need to stop being so selfish and learn to obey. Selfish? I nearly yelled. How am I selfish? It was my birthday, my party. Just then, the front door opened. I turned, hoping it was Emma, back early and feeling guilty. But instead, my grandmother walked in, her eyes narrowing as she took in the scene. What's going on here? She demanded, her voice sharp. Where's the party? I looked at my parents, waiting to see how they'd explain themselves. They hesitated, struggling to find the right words. In that moment, something inside me broke. There's no party, Grandma, I said, my voice shaking. They gave the money to Emma for a trip to Hawaii. The look on my grandmother's face was one I'd never seen before. Fury mixed with disappointment, all aimed at my parents. Is that true? She asked, her voice deadly calm. My parents couldn't look her in the eye. Their silence spoke volumes. Grandma turned to me, her expression softening. Sarah, sweetie, pack your things. You're coming with me. I didn't hesitate. I quickly grabbed my things and heard my grandmother's voice, low and furious, as she talked to my parents. I couldn't catch all the words, but the tone was unmistakable. When I came downstairs, Grandma was already by the door. Not saying a word to my parents, we left the house without another glance at them and got into her car. As we drove away, the weight of 2 decades of feeling abandoned and unloved finally broke me, and I let the tears flow. Grandma reached over and gently patted my hand. Don't worry, sweetheart, she said softly but firmly. We'll make things right. You deserve so much more, and it's about time someone reminded you of that. Grandma drove us to her house, a lovely 2-story home on the edge of town. As we pulled into the driveway, she looked at me with determination in her eyes. This might not be the birthday celebration you had in mind, Sarah, but we're going to do it right. Once inside, Grandma wasted no time, grabbing her phone. I watched in awe as she ordered what seemed like enough food to feed an army. Rushed delivery, no less. I hope you're hungry, she said with a wink, hanging up. We're about to feast. While we waited for the food, Grandma moved swiftly through the kitchen, setting out her best china and silverware. I offered to lend a hand, but she gently waved me off. It's your special day, darling. You just relax. So I sat at the kitchen table, watching her work. A few moments of silence passed, and I couldn't hold it in any longer. Grandma, I began softly, why? Why don't they love me? Grandma paused, her hand stilling as she turned to face me with sadness in her eyes. For a moment, she seemed to wrestle with her thoughts, then sighed and sat down across from me. Oh, Sarah, she began, taking my hand. I think it's time you knew the truth. My heart skipped a beat. What truth? Grandma inhaled deeply. Your parents. They didn't want you to be born. The words hit me like a physical blow. My breath caught in my throat as I tried to process them. What? They thought Emma was enough. Grandma's voice softened but remained firm. But I convinced them to have you. Your mother had a difficult pregnancy, and the birth was a close call. She almost didn't make it. Tears welled up in my eyes once again. So, it's my fault? No, Grandma said sharply. No, Sarah, none of this is your fault. These things happen sometimes. But your mother, she avoided you after that, and your father and Emma followed her lead. I sat there stunned. All these years, I'd known something was wrong. But I never imagined this. Just then, the doorbell rang. The food had arrived. Grandma went to get it, and I sat there, trying to make sense of everything I had just learned. The next few hours passed in a haze. Grandma and I devoured more food than I thought was possible, and she shared amusing stories from her younger years that made me laugh despite the ache in my heart. As the night wore on, I found myself finally enjoying my birthday, something I hadn't done in years. As we were finishing the last slice of cake, Grandma's phone rang. She glanced at it and then gave me a mischievous look. It's your sister, she said. Let's see what she has to say, shall we? Curious, I nodded, and Grandma put the phone on speaker. Hello? Emma's voice came through, sounding frantic. Grandma, why's my card blocked? What's going on? Grandma's tone was icy when she replied. Hello, Emma. I see you've realized there are consequences for your actions. What actions? What are you talking about? Emma's voice was rising now. Your actions and your parents' actions have been disgraceful, Grandma said firmly. Taking money meant for your sister's birthday for your own selfish needs. I'm deeply disappointed in you. There was a pause before Emma's angry voice came back. Oh please, Mom and Dad did the right thing giving me that money. Sarah didn't need a big party. You're just a crazy old woman. That's enough. Grandma cut her off, her voice sharp as steel. I've heard all I need to hear. And with that, she ended the call. I stared at her, wide-eyed. Grandma, did you really block her card? She nodded, a smug smile on her face. I did. And your parents' account too. It's time they learned some responsibility. As if on cue, the phone rang again. This time it was my parents. Grandma ignored it, turning back to me. Now, she said casually, let's plan the rest of your birthday week. The following days with Grandma were a dream, a stark contrast to the nightmare my birthday had started as. For the first time in years, I felt genuinely loved and cherished. We shopped, visited museums, and simply enjoyed each other's company. But like all good things, it eventually came to an end, and it was time for me to return to my dorm and focus on my summer classes. As I unpacked in my small dorm room, my phone buzzed with a flood of missed calls and messages from my parents and Emma. With a sigh, I sat on my bed and started scrolling through them. The first message was from my mom. Sarah, you need to talk to your grandmother. This is unacceptable. Then from my dad. We're your parents. You owe us loyalty. Make her unblock our accounts. Emma's messages were worse. You little brat. Is this what you wanted? You've ruined everything for us. We're stuck in Hawaii because of you. Fix this now. My hands trembled as I read through them. The nerve they had to demand my help after everything they'd done was unfathomable. I took a deep breath and typed a response. This is between you and Grandma. I won't get involved. Don't contact me about this again. I hit send and blocked their numbers. But the peace was short-lived. They started calling from different numbers, leaving voicemails full of demands and insults. In one particularly nasty call that I mistakenly answered, my mother's words stung deep. You ungrateful little trash, she sneered. I should have never had you. I should have aborted you. That was the breaking point. I ended the call and blocked every number they tried to use. Tears flooded my face as I curled up on my bed, my mother's words ringing in my ears. In the weeks that followed, I buried myself in my studies, trying to drown out the pain with coursework and textbooks. Occasionally, I'd call Grandma for comfort, her calm voice always offering peace. How are you holding up, sweetheart? She'd ask, her tone warm and caring. I'm okay, Grandma. I'd respond, pretending to be stronger than I felt. Just focusing on my classes. That's my girl, she'd say, pride clear in her voice. Remember, you're stronger than you think. Don't let them get to you. Her words became a balm for my wounded soul. While my parents and sister had shown their true colors, Grandma had become my anchor, my safe space in the storm. It was a crisp autumn day, about 2 months after the birthday chaos, when I was walking across campus, my mind preoccupied with an upcoming exam, when I heard my name called. Sarah. I turned and froze. There, jogging toward me with his signature grin, was Jake, Emma's boyfriend, the same Jake who had been with her in Hawaii. As handsome as ever, he drew envious glances from the girls around him as he approached. Before I could react, he pulled me into a hug. I stood there, stiff and confused, as he pulled back, still grinning. Jake, what are you doing here? I managed to ask, fully aware of the curious glances we were attracting. I was hoping to bump into you, he said, his voice smooth as velvet. Can we talk? There's a cafe just around the corner from campus. Every part of me screamed to say no, but my curiosity won out. All right, but I can't stay long. We sat down in a quiet corner of the cafe, and Jake leaned in, his expression turning serious. Sarah, there's something important I need to share. I braced myself, expecting something related to my family. What he said next, however, completely blindsided me. I want to date you, he blurted, reaching across the table to grab my hand. I'm going to leave Emma for you. I stared at him, completely stunned. What? Jake, you're with my sister. He shook his head, keeping his eyes locked on mine. I've been in love with you for a long time, Sarah. I was only with Emma to stay close to you. I know it sounds insane, but it's the truth. As he spoke, my mind raced. This made no sense. Jake had never shown any interest in me before, and it always seemed like he barely noticed me when he was around Emma. Something didn't add up. I decided to play along to see where this would go. Forcing a shy smile, I said, "Wow, Jake, that's really sweet. I didn't know you felt that way." His face lit up, clearly encouraged by my response. "Really? So what do you think? Could we give this a chance?" I pretended to consider it, then replied, "This is a lot to process. Can I have some time to think? Maybe we can meet again in a week." Of course, Jake agreed eagerly. "Take all the time you need. I'll wait for you, Sarah." After he left, I sat there, sipping my coffee and replaying the strange encounter in my mind. I couldn't shake the feeling that his sudden confession had something to do with my grandmother's decision to cut off my family financially. But how and what was Jake after? I had barely left the cafe when my phone rang. Emma's name flashed on the screen. With a deep sigh, I answered. "You backstabbing piece of trash." Emma's voice screamed through the speaker. "How could you do this to me?" I pulled the phone away from my ear, wincing at her volume. "Emma, what are you talking about?" "Don't play dumb with me, you homewrecker." My patience snapped. "Shut up and explain what's going on, or I'm hanging up." There was a moment of stunned silence before Emma spoke again, her voice quivering with rage. "Jake just dumped me. He said he's going to be with you instead. How could you?" I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. "What?" "Emma, I swear I had no idea." "Oh, don't pretend like you're innocent," she spat. "I bet you're thrilled about this, aren't you?" "Well, guess what? He's after you for Grandma's money." My mind reeled. "Grandma's money? What are you talking about?" Emma laughed bitterly. "Oh, you haven't heard? Grandma's cutting Mom, Dad, and me out of her will. She's leaving everything to you." I leaned against a nearby wall, feeling lightheaded. Why would she do that? "Because she found out about Mom and Dad's plan," Emma sneered. "They were trying to have her declared mentally incompetent so they could take all her assets, but the old lady figured it out." I felt sick to my stomach. "They did what?" "You heard me," Emma spat. "Now we're all cut off, except for you, of course. The perfect little angel." The pieces began to fall into place. So that's why Jake suddenly wanted to date me, because of Grandma's money. "Exactly," Emma said. "Give the girl a prize." God, that old woman. I hope she... I cut her off, my voice icy. "Don't you dare finish that sentence, Emma. I don't know who's worse, your parents and you for trying to steal from Grandma, or Jake for being a gold digger." Emma gasped. "How dare you?" "No, how dare you?" I shot back. "You're all despicable. I don't want to talk to you anymore, Emma. Don't ever call me again." I hung up, my hand trembling, tears threatening to spill. A mixture of anger and hurt surged within me. How could my family do this? How could they be so cruel and greedy? Shaking, I dialed Grandma's number. She picked up right away, her voice warm and comforting. "Sarah, dear, is everything okay?" I took a deep breath. "Grandma, I just found out about, well, everything. The inheritance, Mom and Dad trying to declare you incompetent. Is it true?" There was a brief pause, then Grandma chuckled. "Oh, my dear, I wondered when you'd catch wind of all that." "Yes, it's true." She went on to recount the whole story, her tone a mix of amusement and disappointment. "You should have seen their faces when the commission came by. I invited them in for tea, answered all their questions, and even did a few Sudoku puzzles to prove I'm of sound mind." I couldn't help but laugh, picturing it. "So what happened?" "Well," Grandma continued, "they left happy, convinced I was mentally fit. Their ridiculous claim was rejected. After that, I had no choice but to protect my assets and you from their greed. I've left them the house. But everything else, that's all going to you, my dear." I felt overwhelmed. "Grandma, I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything, Sarah. Just promise me you'll use it wisely. I want you to take over the company one day to build on what I've created. I promise, Grandma. I won't let you down." After that conversation, I threw myself into my studies with renewed focus. My family, if I could even call them that, became strangers to me. I blocked their numbers, ignored their attempts to reach out. They had shown their true colors, and I wanted no part of it. A week later, true to his word, Jake showed up again. His confident smile faltered when he saw the cold look in my eyes. "Sarah, he began, reaching for my hand. I pulled away. Save it, Jake, I snapped. I know all about your little scheme. You and my sister deserve each other. You're both selfish and manipulative. His facade crumbled immediately. You're making a huge mistake, Sarah, he sneered. You're a fool to turn me down. I couldn't help but laugh. A fool for turning down a gold digger with no morals? No thanks, I'll pass. As he stormed off, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. I was free. Free from the lies, the manipulation, the constant feeling of being used. In the months that followed, Grandma mentored me, teaching me the ins and outs of managing a successful business. We spent weekends going over financial reports, discussing strategies, and planning for the future. You have a good head for business, Sarah, she'd often say, beaming with pride. You're going to do great things. For the first time in my life, I felt truly valued, truly loved. The pain of losing my parents and sister still lingered, but it was overshadowed by the joy of finding my true calling in life. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.